Miles had always liked trains. There was something soothing about the steady rhythm of the wheels, the hum of the engine, and the way the world blurred by outside the window. That night, however, the train felt different. It was late, nearly midnight, when Miles boarded the last train from the city. The platform had been almost empty, save for a few tired commuters and a dozing attendant who barely looked up when Miles bought his ticket. He settled into a window seat, tugging his coat tighter against the chill that seemed to cling to the air. The carriage was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that seemed heavy rather than peaceful. The ride began as expected. Familiar stations passed by, dim lights flickering outside, the occasional announcement crackling through the speakers. But after half an hour, something shifted. The train didn't slow down for the next stop. Instead, it kept rolling forward, deeper into the darkness of the countryside. Miles frowned. He knew this route. He had taken it dozens of times. The train should have stopped at Redfield Station 15 minutes ago. He glanced around at the other passengers, but strangely, there were none. At some point during the ride, everyone else must have gotten off, though he hadn't noticed when. The train's rhythm grew hypnotic, lulling him into a daze. Then, without warning, the brakes screeched. The lights flickered and the train shuddered to a halt. Miles looked out the window. A station stretched before him, but it was one he had never seen before. The sign was old, the letters faded and nearly worn away, though he could just make out the word Hallowmere. He pulled out his phone to check the map, but the signal was gone. Even offline, the station didn't appear anywhere. It simply wasn't on the line. The doors slid open with a reluctant hiss, and a cold draft swept in. For reasons he couldn't explain, Miles felt compelled to step out. The platform was eerily still, the lamps overhead casting weak, sickly glows that left long, shifting shadows. The moment his foot touched the ground, the train doors slammed shut behind him. He spun around, heart pounding, but the driver's cabin was dark. No figures moved inside. Slowly, impossibly, the train pulled away, leaving him stranded. Miles! The sound made his blood freeze. Someone had whispered his name. He turned toward the shadows at the edge of the platform. A group of figures stood there, silent, unmoving. They were too far away to see clearly, but something about the way they stood, slightly hunched and angled toward him, felt wrong. Their outlines flickered in the dim light, as if they weren't entirely solid. Miles tried to retreat, but the only way off the platform was a staircase leading into a tunnel. With no other choice, he descended. The air grew colder with every step, damp and heavy with the smell of rot. At the bottom, the tunnel stretched endlessly in both directions, brick walls slick with moisture. Faint echoes of footsteps followed him, though he hadn't moved. Then he saw it, another sign nailed to the wall. It bore his name, Miles Carter. The paint looked fresh, bright red, as if written in blood. His chest tightened. The whispers grew louder now, overlapping voices calling his name from every direction. He ran, his footsteps slapping against the wet floor, but the tunnel never seemed to end. No matter how far he went, the air stayed just as cold, the voices just as close. Finally, desperate, he turned back, only to find the staircase had vanished. In its place stood a door, old and splintered, with a rusted handle. With shaking hands, he pulled it open. Behind it was the train carriage, his seat, the same flickering light above. Relief surged through him, and he stumbled back inside, collapsing against the window. The train jolted forward as if nothing had happened. When he finally arrived at his stop, dawn was breaking. He rushed off the train, half expecting the station to dissolve into mist, but it was perfectly normal. People bustled around, tired but alive. Yet when Miles glanced at the station's digital sign, his stomach dropped. According to the clock, only 1 minute had passed since he first boarded the train. In his pocket, his phone buzzed to life. He unlocked it with trembling hands. At the top of his screen was a new notification, a photo saved automatically. It was of him standing on the platform at Hallowmere Station. Behind him, the shadowy figures were closer now, their faces clear, and every single one of them was smiling.